Hello Tigers, and welcome to the TMNtv Newscast for Wednesday, November 14th, 2018. Stay tuned for the latest news at Fort Hays State University and around Northwest Kansas and the nation. I am Lauren Davis, and Jenna Hawley will be here shortly with a look at what's going on around the globe. And Haley White will fill you in on what's happening in the sports world. But first, here's what's making news in Tigerland. The annual Tour of Kansas by Fort Hays State University officials began on a cold, snowy Monday morning. The tour has been a staple of FHSU for several years and gives other areas of the state an insight into what is happening at the university. The only twist this year was the president was unable to go on the trip. Tisa Mason is still recovering from an illness, and interim provost Jeff Briggs stepped in to take her spot. Briggs and other university representatives were looking forward to highlighting how FHSU has grown since the beginning of the tour years ago.
When this tour of Kansas started in 1987, Fort Hays State University had approximately 5,500 students. This semester, fall 2018, we had 15,523 students on our 20th day census. That's 423 more students than we had last fall, and that realizes our 18th consecutive year of enrollment growth at Fort Hays State University.
At the kickoff press conference Monday morning, Briggs also said the university continues to serve a large number of Kansas and prepares them well for the future.
Of special importance, this fall we are serving 7,848 Kansans. That's a 3.6% increase over last year and over a 10% increase from 2008.
The tour is scheduled to wrap up Thursday. The state of Kansas is looking forward to an unexpected boost to its Treasury Department. A new analysis of tax returns by the Kansas Department of Revenue showed the value of the 2012 income tax reduction had been underestimated for years. According to the Topeka Capital Journal, that means the state, which was previously looking forward to $7 billion in tax receipts, now is expected to hit $7.3 billion. A $300 million difference. Officials say that has to do with the legislature overturning former Governor Sam Brownback's tax cuts to businesses and LLCs. The expected boost of $300 million could help the state offset costs on pensions, education, and transportation. Officials are saying a fire at a Paxico winery was intentionally set, but they are not seeking a suspect in the fire. The fire started Thursday night at Wildwood Cellars Winery in northeast Kansas, according to the Topeka Capital Journal. A longtime manager of the winery said a person set themselves on fire outside the front door, and the fire spread to the building. Fire crews extinguished the blaze, but some damage was done to the winery. A gas can and a person's body was found near the front door. The business had closed early Thursday due to winter weather. A report by the Kansas Bureau of Investigation shows the number of homicides related to domestic violence in 2017 was the largest in nearly 2 decades. The information also shows the number of domestic violence murders doubled from 2016 to 2017. The state recorded 38 domestic violence-related homicides in 2017, the second highest ever since numbers were collected beginning in 1992. In 1993, 41 people died as a result of domestic violence. The KBI said domestic violence incidents declined by 1.3% in 2017, but rape reports increased 8.1%. A South Central Kansas school is looking to hire its own law enforcement. Nickerson South Hutchinson USD 309 voted to move toward hiring a full-time certified law enforcement officer for the school district. It is hoped the new hire could begin the first part of the new year. The city of Nickerson does not have a police department, and the officer would be housed at Nickerson High School and patrol the district's other schools as well. The employee would be certified to carry a firearm and would have the power to arrest people and write speeding tickets. The officer would report to the superintendent of the school district. Garnett-Anderson County has a similar position. Only a few teams from Northwest Kansas remain alive in the high school football playoffs, with one of them coming off an impressive win last week. Phillipsburg improved to 11-0 with a 1-point win over state power Conway Springs on the road and now plays Hoisington in the Class 2A state semifinals. The Panthers played Hoisington earlier this season, winning 51-21. In the Class 1A semifinals, rivals Smith Center and Plainville will square off again. Smith Center is 10-1 this year, its only loss coming to Phillipsburg, while Plainville is 9-2 with losses to Smith Center and Peaburg. The Redmen beat the Cardinals 21-10 earlier this season. In 8-man Division I play, Central Plains will host St. Francis on Saturday in the semifinals, while Osborne will host Dighton in the 8-man Division II semifinals. State title games are slated to be played November 24th at various sites. We end the local segment this week with a look at Max Beffert as he prepares for his senior recital Friday night in Hayes. When tragedy struck his family a few years ago, Beffert turned to one thing that has always been there in his life: music. On Friday, the public will get an opportunity to see his work at 6:30 p.m. at the United Methodist Church in Hayes.
There will be tears flowing come Friday night. Max Beffert admits to that even before the first note is played at his senior recital, something that is required of all Fort Hays State University music majors.
Oh, I'm sure there will be many tears. There will probably be tears of sadness, tears of joy, tears of relief. I'm looking forward to having this part of my degree completed, and I'm excited for what is going to happen in the future now. So that's it in a nutshell, really.
It's taken a lot of long hours and hard work to pull the event off for the music education major who has an emphasis in voice and music composition now. That musical journey began when he was a child with the help of his mother, Amy, and a piano that ironically had its roots at FHSU.
I got started with music. My great-grandmother gave my mom her old upright piano that she had originally bought from Fort Hays during the 1920s and 30s. We tracked it down and figured out this is where it came from, and I got interested in playing it. I've always turned to the piano as a way to cope with stress or emotions because it's always what I've done. I've gotten this from my mom. She's always turned to music because it helps. So I've been playing piano since I was 7. One of my favorite genres that I originally learned was ragtime music. Scott Joplin, The Entertainer, Maple Leaf Rag. This was my style of music I loved to play. And then I took lessons from Mr. Huber out here for about a year and a half when he was here, and I was probably about 11 or 12 years old. And I continued playing piano all throughout middle school and high school, and still to this day I play piano all the time. It's just an instrument that I love playing. You can really convey percussive emotions with it and stress, so I've always naturally turned to the piano first.
But the tears Beffert will shed Friday night won't be the first tears he shed in his time at FHSU. It was only 3 short years ago that his life changed dramatically with the death of his uncle, John Beffert, who was killed in a hit-and-run accident along a rural county road south of Hayes. That tragic night opened Beffert's eyes and heart to what became his sort of therapy in dealing with the loss of a loved one. He'd always loved music and playing the piano, but that summer night triggered something new.
Yes, John would have been my uncle. He died 3 years ago. He had just turned 67, and he was around me my whole life. He was about the same age as most people's grandparents, because he was already in his late 60s. My dad is in his 50s. Big difference between the oldest and the youngest in the family. But John was a constant, always. He was around, and he was always very supportive of his nephew and his niece, all of his nephews and nieces. He was always very supportive of them. He always liked watching out for them. So it was really a really big toll when he was gone, and music really has filled the void since he's been gone, but nothing really truly replaces a human being. So I've always written music, and since that, just to try and release what I've been feeling inside.
His uncle's death left Beffert searching for a way to honor his family member. He began working on a trilogy titled Trials of the Heart, which was made up of 3 movements dedicated to his uncle.
It was just one of those things that it all brought us closer together. Just the writing of his music. I wrote his piece. I'd begun to hear a melody shortly after his passing, and I wrote it down. I originally started off only as a piano piece that later evolved into a full choral setting that in the fall of 2015, on October 22nd, the first movement of the trilogy that I wrote for my uncle, Trials of the Heart, was premiered by Hayes High under the direction of Mr. Johnny Matlock. And then later on, I would finish 2 more movements to this setting. The second being Never Left Behind. It features a clarinet and oboe duet. And finally, the final movement is Rejoice, a general sense of rejoicing. The text is rejoice, rejoice, let the trumpet sound and angel returns. So it's kind of a very fanfare. It's very, very influenced by gospel music. It features a trumpet solo that goes with it. So each of these elements are blended in to better reflect the text and the mood of the piece in itself. This will be the second time Trials of the Heart has been performed here at Fort Hays. It was performed in the spring of 2016 in its full entirety, and it will be once again performed now 2.5 years later for my senior recital.
Composing music quickly turned into a way for Beffert to release what he was feeling.
Music has always been my relief. I've always turned to music, piano, before I would talk to someone else. If something was bothering me, I would turn to the piano. It was my instrument of choice. It's what I've always gravitated towards. I've been a vocalist. I love singing. It's a great way to relieve stress, but nothing beats playing the keys on the piano and just really releasing your stress, and just playing some of my favorite pieces I love to play when I'm stressed is Beethoven's Moonlight Sonata. Just the emotive power of that piece really helps me relax and detoxify, I guess you could say.
And Fort Hays turned into the perfect place for Beffert to hone his new craft.
A lot of the opportunities I've been given have been because I've been here. It's just opened up new doors to opportunities and everything that I'm doing. It's a lot of fun, and I can't believe still that this is where I've come from, and I'm happy that I'm at Fort Hays. It's an awesome school, really. And I think a lot of the faculty here that have helped guide me. It's just a giant thank you to all of them, really. They've been monumental.
While it has been a difficult journey for Beffert in more ways than one, he's been able to overcome so much and turn a tragedy into a newfound love while studying at FHSU.
It's been a long journey, I'll say that much, but it's been a fun journey, and I wouldn't trade any of the experiences I've had with this department, with any of the faculty that I've met here at Fort Hays at all. This journey has been a great culmination of working with other students and working with other faculty members. It's been so much fun.
I think there's a perception out there that web and mobile application development is this field where you sit behind a computer all day and code. And that's not it at all, right? And there's even a perception out there that geek is bad. But I think students should embrace their inner geek. We don't code all day. We look at issues, we look at problems, and try to figure out the pieces of the puzzle and how to put them together to build things.
I was able to learn JavaScript, HTML, CSS, PHP, just kind of the whole 9 yards with that. So I really enjoyed the full program that they offered here.
Anything that you're interested in, the field of web and mobile application development, there's a value to. There's nothing like what we have in the informatics department. If you choose to take everything in the buffet that we offer, and you'll be very well prepared for any type of job opportunity that's out there.
Hello Tigers, I'm Jenna Hawley and here's what's going on around the globe. The deadliest fire on record has caused severe damage in the state of California. More than 40 people have died and hundreds of thousands have been evacuated across the entire state. According to NBC News, 4,000 firefighters were on the scene as the fire had captured 110,000 acres of land as of Sunday night. 25% was contained according to the state fire officials. CNN has decided to sue President Donald Trump of the White House, suspending reporter Jim Acosta's credentials. Acosta and Trump had a heated discussion during a press conference last week. The White House later suspended Acosta from attending the pressers, but CNN was allowed to send a different reporter if it desired. CNN said the suspension violates the First Amendment that guarantees freedom of press, as well as the Fifth Amendment involving due process. The lawsuit asks for immediate restoration for Acosta. White House Press Secretary Sarah Huckabee Sanders said the lawsuit was simply more grandstanding by CNN. Canada has most likely heard the recordings of the killing of Saudi journalist Jamal Khashoggi. Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau has stated they have been briefed by Turkish officials and what they have to share while attending the peace forum following the World War I armistice cemetery. According to the San Diego Union Tribune, Canada's Prime Minister is the first to announce his country's intelligence agency has listened to the audio. Trudeau has said he thanked the Turkish president in person for his strength in responding to the Khashoggi situation when the two leaders met in Paris this weekend. The French foreign minister has said Turkey has not given the French government any recordings. On Monday, British Foreign Secretary Jeremy Hunt met with King Salman. Hunt is the first British minister to visit Saudi Arabia since the death of Khashoggi. He said he planned to press the kingdom to fully cooperate with the Turkish investigation into the writer's killing. First Lady Melania Trump has pushed for the firing of a senior White House official, saying the aide has clashed with the First Lady's staff. It is a step outside the norm for the normally quiet First Lady. The dispute allegedly involves security resources on a recent trip to Africa. Melania also alleges the aide is the source of recent news that puts the First Lady in a bad light. News reports say the official was escorted out of the White House on Tuesday, but senior administration say that never happened. A U.S. Senator says he would like a federal court to throw out the deadline for Florida's recount deadlines. Bill Nelson says the deadlines don't provide enough time to count all the votes. If any counties can't get ballots recounted on schedule, the previous round of results will be used to certify results, according to state law. It wasn't until Tuesday of this week that Broward County began recounting ballots from last week's midterm elections. The county has been thrust into the national spotlight because of the slow pace of initial vote counting and the slow start to recount. 3 contests are still up for grabs in the state. A comic book legend has died at the age of 95. Stan Lee, who helped create Spider-Man and other superheroes, died Monday in Los Angeles. The cause of death was not immediately known. In the past years, Lee was credited as associated producer on many blockbusters such as Iron Man, X-Men, and Captain America. Netflix faces a lawsuit over copyright issues. On Thursday, the Satanic Temple filed a lawsuit against both Netflix and Warner Brothers over the use of its goat-headed statue they say appear in the new Chilling Adventures of Sabrina. According to the New York Times, the lawsuit states the plaintiffs ask for at least $50 million for each alleged infraction, such as copyright infringement, trademark violation, and injury to the business's reputation. The temple claims the show not only uses their deity statue, a muscled, goat-headed figure with 2 young children staring up at it, but it gives both the Satanic Temple and the statue a bad rep. They claim that in Sabrina, the statue is used as a symbol of evil and copies particular details from the temple statue, not reproduced anywhere else. Warner Brothers, which produces The Chilling Adventures of Sabrina, declined to comment. Law students at the University of California, Berkeley are trying to change the name of the building that houses the program, Bolt Hall. This is coming after the discovery that the building was named after John Henry Bolt, helped with the first national immigration ban of a specific group in 1882. By law, the renaming process would have to go through California's Attorney General. Another proposition, however, has been to simply rename the building after his wife, Elizabeth Bolt, who made large donations to the school and ultimately became the school's matriarch. The Orlando Sentinel writes, Disney World has reopened a gift shop. Disney Springs remodeled a retail store and it recently reopened Saturday. It is lined with new merchandise and numerous technology. The new store includes a citrus produce market, and elements of its fictional past are presented throughout the store, including animators-inspired sketches incorporated into checkout counters and artwork that is magical. They also include more open space and additional lighting. That's what's happening in the news world this week. Stay tuned for a sports update with Haley White when we return.
The Tiger Media Network is Fort Hays State University's independent student media organization. It's a student employment opportunity where you can work for either the news side or the sports side. So you can be on live sports production, which produces all of the live sports broadcasts that we do, or you could be on the news side and do news stories covering things on campus, so presidential announcements, student government association. We bring that news to the student community and the Hays community as well.
You don't realize how much Fort Hays State has to offer until you're here.
I mean, it is definitely, this is the land of opportunity here.
I just got back from the MIAA tournament in Kansas City a couple weeks ago where we worked with other production crews, including Pitt State and Central Missouri. And it's a great time. I've gone there the last couple of years.
For me anyway, I get to do sports, which is what I love. And if live productions is where that's at, this is the perfect place to do it. We have almost everything that you could possibly imagine.
Tiger Media Network allows you the opportunity to take the skills you've learned and put them forward in a real world, real application setting that allows you to flourish and grow as a professional, and that will only help you and benefit you when you graduate and go into the real world workforce.
Hello Tigers, I'm Haley White bringing you a sports update. FHSU football clinched its second consecutive MIAA title with Saturday's 58-0 win against Northeastern State on Saturday. The Tigers begin their playoff quest on this Saturday when they face the University of Indianapolis on the road at noon. With the team's ability to overcome adversity throughout the season, 3 Tigers were recognized with special awards. Linebacker Jose Delgado earned Defensive Player of the Year, punter and kicker Dante Brown earned Special Teams Player of the Year, and head coach Chris Brown earned Coach of the Year for the second straight season. Dante Brown also earned MIAA Football Athlete of the Week honors along with Fort Hays' defensive lineman Sterling Swopes. During this week's press conference, Delgado, receiver Harley Hazlett, and Coach Brown discussed their journey to play in the postseason.
Coach told us that we had nothing to play for but pride, so he made it seem like it wasn't a possibility, so we just kept fighting, and now it's here. I feel like this year we're just going to be more prepared for what we expect. You know, we got to take it to another notch, flip that switch, and just go full steam ahead.
Understand now, like, there's an expectation as well as, I mean, we want to do something. I mean, knowing that the first 2 losses, we were like, dang, we don't have a shot at the playoffs, and now that we're actually in the playoffs, we got to make something happen with it. And I feel like that's the whole vibe that this team has, is that we're going to make something happen with this next shot.
Make or break now. I mean, you want to continue to play, and everybody plays at a higher level, when you get to the playoffs. And I think that's the main thing. Kids just, they play more physical, they play more aggressive, they play faster. I think that's the whole key. They play with a little more energy, a little more excitement, and because it is the playoff and everybody's trying to win a national championship. And I think that's just the thing you got to prepare your kids for. And I think our kids will be more prepared this year for it. Last year they were quite uncertain of exactly how the playoffs work, but I think our kids are ready now. So I'm pretty sure we'll have a great week of practice. Kids are pretty in tune. They've already been up here watching film and preparing themselves and get through their scouting reports and learn the new plays we already gave them. So I think they're ready, and I think they're excited. And but it's a more intense game. It really is, and that's hard to see on film, but you watch it all over across the country. When it gets into the playoffs with Division I, those games are more intense. Basketball, March Madness, same thing. You watch college basketball normally, it's good, but once you get into March Madness, it amps up a little bit more. So I think it's just that playoff, really makes the game, more important. Kids play harder, they play more physical, more aggressive, and just more in tune with what's going on.
Fort Hays women's basketball collect the first 2 wins of the regular season this weekend. The Tigers used their skills behind the arc to beat Southwest Minnesota State in Friday's season opener, winning 91-56 and ending the contest with 10 made 3-pointers. Fort Hays found success on the defensive side of the ball as well as in the paint on Saturday, as the Tigers earned another victory against Upper Iowa with a 69-36 finish. The men were unable to find the same success on the road as they start the regular season with 2 losses. Fort Hays fell in its season opener on Friday by a score of 89-70 to the University of Sioux Falls. Although with much better efforts during the second half of Saturday's game, the Tigers were unable to seal a win against Southwest Minnesota State, ultimately falling to the Mustangs 96-85. The women will have the weekend off as they prepare for their next matchup on Tuesday in Wichita against Newman. The men will have 2 games at home this weekend, Saturday against Colorado Mines and Sunday against UC Colorado Springs. Tip-off for both of these matchups is 4 p.m. 4 Fort Hays wrestlers earned individual titles during the Bethany Swede Open on Saturday. Brandon Ball, F.A. Osagi, Iris Jones, and McKill Robinson earned championships during Saturday's event. For the first time in his career as a Tiger, McKill Robinson earned MIAA Wrestler of the Week for his efforts during the Open. The Tigers will hit the road on Saturday to compete in the Nebraska Kearney Open, which is set to commence at 9 a.m. It's an exciting time in Hays for FHSU men's soccer as the team will host Northeastern State for the Central Region Championship on Thursday evening. Leading the nation in 7 categories, Santiago Agudelo earned the MIAA Player of the Year and All MIAA First Team selection at forward. He finished the regular season leading the nation with 58 points, also leading in the points per match, total points, goals per match, total goals, game-winning goals, shots per match, and shots on goal per match categories. If the Tigers secure a win on Thursday, they will play in the national quarterfinals on Saturday. Fort Hays Cross Country will be back in action as they travel to Joplin, Missouri for the NCAA Central Regional on Saturday. The race is set to commence at 10 a.m. With Sporting Kansas City's 4-2 victory over Real Salt Lake on Sunday, Sporting will continue their MLS playoff run as the team takes on the Portland Timbers Sunday, November 25th at Providence Park. The match is slated for 6:30 p.m. Central and will be broadcasted on Fox Sports Go.
All season VAR will be implemented and may play a role. We're underway. Children's Mercy Park, upwards of 18,000 on an empty seat, and it's been buzzing for a good 2 hours. Looking for the same result to get the goals. That one in. It's over off the knuckles of Romano, fired back in, and it's off of Beckerman. Elias Sanchez with the best chance of the game. Krylak has done so much, and he's played at least four different positions for this team. Today, moving from that striker to the midfielder right behind. That was it for Gutierrez. He's got right front. He plays it out. It's onside. Sporting have taken the lead here and on the aggregate. And it's Diego Rubio.
Assuming that this counts, Right now, I think they're having conversations about the validity of this pass and whether Diego Rubio's in an offside position.
Here it comes again. Shalaway! Yes! The pressure relentless, and now Sporting Kansas City have some breathing room.
So like having all sorts of problems would run out of the midfield. Beasler's trailing, Lennon is late.
To mention all those years as a player here. Russell waits for it. Zuzi. Oh, he was gangbusters around the corner and he whipped it in. Still there, Russell. Sporting Kansas City, utter domination to open this second half. Oh, beautiful! Nick Romano, one-footed Rubio! A heavenly ball to set it up. Russell. That ball's lost. Beckerman, little flick towards Bofo Salcedo. Cuts it right back to Plata. Much better from Real Salt Lake. Plata, inroads, little tug. Salcedo! Yes! Real Salt Lake are back in it.
About Sporting Kansas City giving Real Salt Lake no hope. Well, they did. They lose the ball in a bad area. This is poor defending by Grant Susi. You got to force them to the outside.
Should draw on his sleeve as here they come again, Sporting. Gutierrez. Oh, beautiful ball for Rubio. He's down. Penalty!
Again, it's a bad touch by Diego Rubio. He knows it.
Against Nick Romando, who has foiled many a penalty attempt in his day. 67th minute, Sanchez chips and converts! And the 2-goal advantage is reestablished.
Nick Romando, specialist in penalty kick saves. Now,
still a pulse here for Real Salt Lake. More whistles. João Plata drives one in, and there's Krylak! They're back in it!
I did this for a second. They were supposed to be a short corner, and the referee blew it.
Oh, it's at the doorstep! Krylak! Beckerman! Still there! Oh, it's Beasler! Oh! Beckerman throwing players up now. Cobalt in blue. Krylak! Again, open space! Goalie's out! Opara desperate to defend! It's there! Lennon needs to make a play here. He doesn't! Oh, it's through! To seal the deal, a no-look finish by Shalaway!
We began the game saying that Sporting Kansas City likes to press. 97th minute, Shalaway says, you know what? I'll continue to press. Forces a mistake from Brooks Lennon.
Of the look over from Daniel Shalaway to make it a goal they'll remember for a long time here. Moved to the United States in 2014 from Hungary and became a part of this team, this community. What a moment for him.
The Kansas City Chiefs moved to 9-1 on the season after 26-14 win over the Arizona Cardinals on Sunday. Kansas City's defense showed much improvement during Sunday's contest as the Chiefs allowed just 3.8 yards per rush, which is well below the NFL season average of 4.4 and way below the Chiefs' average of 5.1 through the past 9 weeks. The Chiefs will be on the road for a Monday night matchup against the Los Angeles Rams. Kickoff starts at approximately 7:15 and is able to be viewed on ESPN. That concludes this episode. Tune in next week for another episode of TMNtv. To stay up to date on the latest news and information throughout the week, visit tigermedianet.com. Until then, remember, roar Tigers!